Hi guys, welcome to another video. Me and Dandy here.
Howdy.
Gonna be going through a game where he will try to deny I say try. Where he will deny me the Pro Scout meta that's been going on. And yeah, we'll jump into a game and talk about Pro Scouts and how to deny them. So first up would be like mentioning what is pro scouting in general. So pro scouting would be using the scouts to collect deer under your TC after getting the professional. Was it professional scout upgrade, right?
Yep. Yep, from the mill. So the Pro Scout upgrade is with every civ, though French and Joan get it cheaper.
Right, you lucky bastards. Meanwhile, I'm gonna be playing English. That could just go farms, but here I am making a video.
Don't you know scouts are always better? Pro Scouts better than farms.
Right.
Not really, but
Not,
English farms are
not
actually
really.
efficient enough. You don't need it.
But
I hate to admit it, but it's true.
I mean, you gotta love the English, man.
Yeah, I definitely don't hate them with a burning, rabid passion.
You do, just say you do. By the way, 0 sheep, so it's gonna be a perfect Pro Scouts game for
Oh,
me. I'm getting 0 sheep.
good, because I've gotten 6 sheep, 7.
Ah, goddamn it. No, it's only 2. Oh,
Who said
yoink!
I only had? Who only said I had one scout?
Oh, that's true. Um, but but yeah, I assume the patch made it easy to go Pro Scouts now, cause I've heard Beastie say it that Pro Scouting before, like queuing multiple scouts and shift queuing the deer pack, uh, was even pros didn't do it because it was so hard, right?
Well, it was time consuming more than anything else because you would have to individually go drop off the deer every time you collected one,
Mm-hmm.
which just meant you wasted a lot of time trying to grab all these deer instead of now it just auto collects. Though there is a couple issues with that right now that people don't know. If a deer gets killed or removed or however, like just changed, when you shift click it, it automatically cancels the shift click. So you
Mm-hmm.
can't. You have to regather them, so to speak,
Right.
and simultaneously, as well. If you change your rally point with your scout, like let's say you selected the mill instead of the TC, all your shift clicks will then be canceled. So you have to redo it, and it can cause it to just be that deer to just get bugged out. So making sure you select things properly is still important, but it's not as much of a heavy-handed issue.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Where are you?
I'm wherever I want to be. I'm stealing sheep around your base currently.
Bastard.
I'm
Had the
I'm up
feeling you were
to
up to no good.
I'm up to 15 sheep.
Oh damn. I'm uh I'm down to 3. Don't burn my
We're gonna
thing.
I'm
Rude.
gonna burn if I want.
Rude.
Very important to make your opponent be on their toes. You know,
It's just rude, man.
you love it. Don't act like you don't.
Can't say I do at the moment with the amount of sheep that I have.
I will say one of the big things to keeping your opponent from like getting their pro scouts properly is just putting out light pressure in random locations just to kind of keep them busy.
Right.
And now one of the big things though, like I would say is probably the most important aspects of designing pro scouts is just looking where your opponent's scouts are, or not scouts, their deer are, and just having a good eye on it. So for instance, I like to go a double scout opener with like jaune and French, which means that I have the enough visibility that I can kind of keep track of all the deer packs.
Mm-hmm. That
All
makes
right.
sense.
Yep. And the other big thing to go with that is you have to keep an eye kind of in the dark. Because if you look, for instance, Shogun, if you look near my base, if you scouted it, and where my deer packs are, you can see the deer packs. Like, you can see the living deer. Which
Right.
means that you don't have to worry about, oh, this deer is taken already, because the deer is still there. Once the deer is scouted and taken, then you won't see it anymore. So keeping an eye on your deer packs when you know your opponent wants to go pro scout is going to help kind of deny that issue. Now, you have kind of two options when you're denying pro scouts. You have the idea that you can go like a cav unit that'll get over to your opponent's base quickly, which will help you deny deer. Then you have the option to go archers if you think that they may be going for a kind of a spearman play to defend it, expecting you to go cavalry. So kind of the that thought process. Oh. Boop. Yep. And because the scouts are slow when they're carrying deer, I can kind of just sit on top of them now and deny them. Don't have to put a lot of effort in. So if you'll notice, I've already kind of pre-killed all his deer, just to make sure that he can't shift click them in the dark, so to speak, which is going to allow me a little bit more room to kind of keep an eye on his stuff. No deers for Shogun.
Yeah, this sucks.
Yeah, so now, because you went for this build of let's grab the deer right away, and I went for aggro, I now have control of your deer, and you're slowed down. Which gives me room to do something cheeky, like grab your deer if I decide to go for my own pro scouts, which I may or may not be prepping to do.
I love the ambiguity.
Yeah, you never know, man. Gotta keep people on their toes. But yeah, so generally the idea when denying the pro scouts is that you just kind of hug whatever they're going for, because they invested so many resources in the pro scouts already. Like, you're already down, for instance, like a fourth of your castle age timing, because you spent that much on just the upgrade. Now, on top of that, you also got the barracks and all these spearmen who are also going to, like, try and, like, deny these knights, but that's more time you're spending not making efficient army or not grabbing the deer, which is what's important.
Right.
So, like, at this point, it's already paid off for me that I can kind of just do whatever I want, and there's like, I'm just going to be able to sit here on your deer while I gather my deer. And I see you trying to steal mine. Nice try. When I said you got to keep an eye on in the dark, this is what I'm talking about.
Haha! No, 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 no!
And your spearmen are dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
R.I.P. the boys. I just realized I was AFKing my scouts.
Yep, they're dead now. So that's another nice thing. These scouts have such a high movement speed that you can actually use scouts to deny scouts. Like if they try to go long range with them.
Mm-hmm. So you don't
Thus,
have
like,
to
just-
go... You don't have to go knights.
Yeah. Like if you're not a knight civ, let's say you have horsemen or you just have scouts, as long as they're going for long distance deer, you're going to be able to continue denying them very, very smoothly, and it's not going to like be an issue. Because like for instance, you're trying to steal my deer from over here, and these scouts will just die.
Not if I run away first.
Yep, you have to run, which is the benefit to me. Because now you're spending time trying to steal that, when in reality you should be like more concerned about the knights at your base, or your king, which is now dead. So I just get a free king delete. So now your stuff has basically just been denied. I can go do whatever I want. You now spent so much on spears, for instance, to deny my knights, that I've now been able to do a full like archer transition, and you're just now starting to grab deer. Which means that I've already had that food bonus, so to speak.
Right.
So, all good for the dandy. And I could deny those scouts, but I'm better off just killing all your army. Because now I can just go kill him.
No! Leave him! Leave him! Let him live!
No, he will die. And you will not get that deer. Oh,
No! Leave him!
you will get that deer, actually. You will not get the other deer, though. So at this point, though, like, my whole strategy of denying your deers has basically paid off. Not because I've actually, like, managed to stop the deer completely. Because you're not going to be able to fully deny every deer on the map just because there's deer everywhere. But it does allow you to slow down your opponent while either you grab them, or, like, let's say I don't... like have the ability to grab them. Let's say I go all in feudal.
Right.
You've been slowed down enough that I can just press your base, which is all I needed to begin with.
Oh.
So like you've
These
wasted
wandered off.
massive. Yeah, you've wasted a large amount of resources on your military that has just continued to die while I've grabbed deer, and now I just have archers going to start flooding into you, and I don't even have to do a whole lot. Like, oh yeah, I see you being a cheeky guy. Trying to steal my stuff. How dare you, sir? Yeah, but like I said, at this point, like, I've denied enough deer that I have at least half the deer on the map, grabbing the other ones. So now, like, you're not going to be able to have free reign on with food, while I do, which is all you really need to do with this kind of setup. Is you just kind of go in and you deny the deer best you can, either grab it yourself or go all in military, knowing that you're ahead militarily because of the fact that your opponent's pro scouts got denied. They wasted resources on a very expensive upgrade, you did not, so now you're ahead.
Right. And
Like,
what is
genuinely
the win
at this
condition as pro scouts? So you,
So,
I understand that you want the resources under your TC, but if you get denied like this, it's fairly hard to come back.
yeah, that's the purpose on my end, is that if you don't get the pro scout off, well, now you've kind of screwed yourself, because there's not a way to kind of recap that loss because of how expensive it was and how little it paid off. So like
Right.
now, like as you can see, you had a ton of military over time, but it was never big enough to stop me. So now I just get to win. Like, you have to make the pro scouts work, otherwise it's just a detriment to you. Like, you're not going to be able to do anything at this point. I will just sit on top of your production, start making rams, and now this game is officially over unless I throw. Like, it is my game to now lose because you got denied.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, obviously, I have all the food in the world because I got the pro. Like, you focus on grabbing the pro scout first. I focused on military first to deny the pro scouts, which means I have map control, which means I can then steal the pro scouts. It's kind of that whole mentality of like, oh, they want to do it, but I can do it better. Or I can do it faster. Or safer. Or however you want to think of it in your head. Whatever makes you feel good, however
Right.
you want to put it. Either way, point being is that now, like Shogun, you don't have a military. I do have a military. And even if I could stop producing vills and just make nothing but military at this point and just flood you infinitely. And there's not going to be a whole lot you can do because of the amount of resources I just have under my base. And while simultaneously, you don't have it. Because you could have done a farm transition, had like 8 farms from all the resources you spent on that upgrade, but instead you don't. You just have, ooh, we're going to go castle. Still not going to be worth it because now your production was forward and you will lose this. And when your opponent goes castle, that just means that your Knight Corps is free to just go pick off vills and find farms or wherever. Like, you don't actually have a good win con at this point. It is the sad reality, but it is the good one for me. Unless I run out of gold.
You are allowed to run out of gold.
No, I don't think I am. Oh no, Shogun. What are you doing, buddy?
Right now, many things. Mostly trying to survive. But yeah, this is rough.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, you don't have the mass anymore to actually fight off my military. Because I can infinitely just flood into you. And even if I wanted to, at this point, go castle, like, I'll have a military, you won't. Which is just going to deny everything you want to do. Which obviously just kind of sucks. Unless Joan is just an idiot and decides to take the worst pathing possible.
She is allowed. Okay, time to fight with Wills. Come here, bitch.
Yep.
Feel the menace of English Wills.
I'm not that concerned about them. I think I will do enough damage here to not care. Because your hand is forced, mine is not. So, fun fact, when attacking somebody, you don't actually have to kill them, you just gotta stop all their production. Which is just kill the houses. Now, Shogun, you're just dragging this out, buddy.
I know.
Now, this is just rude. Man's gotta know when he's beat. Oh. Let's regather. No, with all the deer I have under my base, I actually can just age up. And that is the joys of the pro scouts. If you let your opponent get it, they just have an infinite food source that will be a forever pain in your butt.
I'm just seeing if I can make a comeback with the English farms. With the English farms.
I will say, if anything could make a comeback, it probably would be English farms, because they are just such, like, they're so efficient. Like,
right.
For instance, if you're like anybody else, it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah,
like,
it's
very few
over.
civs have. Yeah, like if you were like Zushi or maybe actually Zushi granaries may be good enough. But generally speaking, anything you're gonna do is just not going to be fast enough to make that difference, which just kind of sucks for the civ, because like that's how you want to try to win the game. It's like, oh, I make my good transition, but you've delayed yourself so much that it just doesn't happen. Which, like, is obviously an issue of the strategy, but it's less the strategy, more the,
Come here.
Uno momento, getting
Come
upgrades.
Here. Come here. I don't have upgrades. Come here, fight me. You won't.
No, I won't. I'm gonna go where I'm nice and safe.
Drops Red Palace in my face.
White Tower is such a freaking pain.
Yeah, it's lovely. I love it.
Yeah, I have Castle Knights now.
I can feel.
You understand what I'm putting down?
Just one more. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, the military just won't be able to keep up. You lost a lot of vills. You lost a lot of production. Like, yes, you can make, like, it's not like, oh, game's over. Like, if I misplay, there's always a chance. But if you're playing against an opponent of equal level and equal skill, going for Pro Scout and getting denied will fundamentally put you so far behind, you're not going to recover. Like, if I just re-push here, I push your left flank, I will destroy the last of your production.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's over. Like, your military, like, despite you pumping out a military that could, like, theoretically beat mine, as soon as I hit Castle, I get all my upgrades, because, once again, I still have food. I am only now making a farm transition. I can just I can continue pumping out a large military and just have that advantage. And it, like, for instance, let's say you win Castle, I could just pull back, go Castle myself instead of making that military, age up with you, and then just have the better military because I never lost mine. You lost yours trying to fight military that was better than yours, and let's say you hold back, well, then you don't fight me when you're going for the Pro Scout. Well, now I have the map control to get mine safely, and then maybe if I fight efficiently when fighting you at your base, I can steal some of yours, thus getting that advantage. And I hate to say it, because with Pro Scouts, you don't want to have to go it yourself if your opponent goes for it, but if your opponent goes for it, you're kind of given a leeway. You shouldn't think of it as, I have to go Pro Scouts, but I now get to go Pro Scouts. I now get to go on the map because they wasted times and resources. I now get to just age up, or I just get to build a military and go Pro Scouts. You know.
So initially, it would be like inviting pressure to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah,
Whereas in this game, I'm not much of a pro scouter, as you could have seen from the gameplay, right? But
yeah,
English would be one of those civs that can handle early aggression, right? Because they get the bonus attack speed plus men at arms plus longbows. So
yeah.
they are initially, or rather fundamentally, a defensive civ, but still, even with those how to say, uh, bleeding units, right? Because I was bleeding spearmen to get the deer.
Yeah,
With bleeding
you're
units, I still lose way too much, and I fall behind and behind, behind, behind.
yeah. Like we can go to the timeline on this and look, or the statistics, and go to military. You
Right.
lost 139 units versus my 81. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, losing 81 sucks, but I've done so much damage that it's fundamentally worth it. Like, if you go to the timeline, look at military count, every time you started to get like a military built up, it immediately gets crushed. So
Yep.
you're not able to keep up with just the consistent massing, while simultaneously, like towards the end of the game, you're like, okay, I lost the pro scout battle. Let me age up, stay defensive, and just switch to farms because that's now my best win con. You now invite a larger military to compress your base, and if I let's say I'm smart and I'm not an idiot, instead of pushing under White Tower, I just go your left flank, destroy half your production and all your housing, and
Yeah.
deny your main wood line. Now suddenly you have everything behind your base, and the only thing behind your base will be farms and wood. And you kind of have to pick: do you want your farms in the back, or do you want your military in the back? Because if you put everything in the far back, well, then White Tower can't cover it, or it can't
Mm-hmm.
cover your TC. It can only cover one area of your base.
Yep.
So you try to get it kind of in between where we were mainly fighting, cover your gold, your food, and half your production, which is a smart bet. But now your whole left flank is just screwed. Like it, and then I can even like filter into the back and get your farms. Like your whole
Right.
base is now kind of screwed because you gave up that map control early to try and get the food. And I see civs doing that all the time where they're like, oh, let's immediately go pro scouts. And because I go early pressure, the pro scout gets immediately denied.
Well, there wasn't any other place to put the uh, white tower, because I could put it behind the production in front on the side of the farms, but then you can
Mm-hmm.
just go straight onto farms with knights.
Yep.
And my only gold option at that time was that gold node we were fighting next to,
Mm-hmm.
and my secondary gold was actually in front of me. So
Yeah.
meanwhile,
You don't have a
meanwhile, your
good
eco
place to
was
put it.
totally untouched, right? And you even
Yeah.
spent resources on building an outpost for your second goal, which was totally unnecessary because I couldn't get out of my base.
Oh, and you could always, for instance, like pull the king around and go dive it, and hopefully, like if
I
I'm not
guess, yeah.
paying attention, you get like 5, 6 kills to
That's
just kind
way
of
too
equalize as
many.
best you can.
That's way too
Yeah.
many. Considering
Yeah.
you need 3 hits with the king to kill a villager, nah, that's way too many. But
I've
yeah,
done it to people. I will say I've done it to people. People push the English base. They get so wrapped up in pushing, they just ignore the notifications, and
mm,
suddenly the king has killed like 18 vills over the
jeez.
course of like three over like 2 minute siege push, which just can
Okay.
make or break a game.
Yeah, for
Now,
sure.
obviously, the better the opponent, the more likely they are to just catch that and just be like, "Oh no, you just lose here."
Exactly.
Uh,
But
but yeah,
what would you suggest, for example, if someone isn't a night civ, right? Someone that doesn't a civ that doesn't get knights in the second age
yeah.
feudal. So what would you
Okay,
suggest
so yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
deny pro scouts?
So to deny the pro scouts, you gotta always remember that the pro scout, unless you're French or Jean, is very expensive. It's not a cheap upgrade,
Hmm.
which means they're going to forego like 3 military units or a partial age up to get that resource gather. So they're either going to have to go spears or they're going to go archers for defense. One of the two. Now, for instance, if you're English, you're going to be making longbows for defense more than likely,
Yep.
unless you're going against a Night Civ like we had here, where you're likely to go spears instead. But, like, let's say I'm going against Malians, and the Malians are pro scouting, and I'm not playing a Night Civ. They're likely to go Donzo and then into Javelin throwers because they want to protect their, Don, their Donzo with anti ranged, obviously. So let's say you're English going against that. You're obviously going to probably want to go English rush there, like in the longbow rush, get a bunch of longbows, snipe out as best you can, and then transition into a horseman comp for the javelins. Now,
Mm.
this requires a lot of prediction on the denier's part, but you
Right.
can always kind of predict what your opponent's going to do based on their civ. Like, for instance, you're likely to see Zushi pro scout. How are they going to pro scout? They're probably going to make spearmen first if you're a knight civ, but if you're not a knight civ, they're
Shogun.
probably going to go Jugnu. So
Right.
you can go horseman. And the
Mm-hmm.
best way to do this is just to hug their base with your scout to see what they're producing. If I see them start an archery range, I'm immediately going to start a stable. If I see the state or the barracks coming out, I'm going to immediately switch into an archery range, so on and so forth. Whatever they're defending with is you need to make the counter right away to hard counter whatever they're making for defense, so that way you can focus down their military and then the scout. Because unless say you don't get the scout, just killing the military of your opponent is going to be enough. If you trade 5 units for one, or they trade 5 units for one deer, that's good for you because now you have 10 units at their base denying their deer, and now they make 5 spears. Well, 5 spears will lose to like 6 archers, while your other 4 archers are now killing the scouts. So
Mm-hmm.
letting them get a couple deer is not the end of the world as long as you're winning the engagements. Because
Right.
the better food gather rate and the safe food doesn't mean anything if you're already outmassed. And
Right.
that's a thing that a lot of people panic about. They just like, oh, kill the scout, kill the scout, kill the scout.
Mm-hmm.
No, kill the military defending the scout, and the next time that scout comes out, he can't do it. Thus, he's forced into more military. If he's forced into more military, well, now he's screwed. Or let's say he goes for an age up, like what you did. Like, oh, none of my fights are working. I need age up. Well, then you just ram push their base wherever is most efficient, slow them down, go age up yourself, and now they're down military, and you're both the same age. 20 units is 20 units, no matter what age you're in. Like 10 horsemen could go raid Shogun's food, for instance, and just kind of idle them, and the White Tower can't protect all of it. Or the like, let's say I died at the wood line or whatever, just kind of keep them busy in their base because now they've given up map control because they didn't save their military.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Well, I hope that was educational enough for you guys. So, thanks to Dandy for joining,
Of course, always happy to help.
and see you next time.